I am so delighted to see you all today. This will be a very special service, and I'll more officially welcome Reverend Lauren Ahava Jacobs. I hope I said your name correctly, and she will be our guest speaker today and co-minister. But I will be more official in this welcome. So let us begin our service. So welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Palisades. I'm Reverend Sonia Ketchian, and I'm deeply grateful to be with you all this morning. So as we come together for this service, let us be reminded of the aspirations and intentions that this community was built upon. We are an intentionally diverse and inclusive congregation. Whomever you are, whatever you believe, however you identify, and whomever you love, you are welcome here. So as we gather, let us take a moment to recognize the indigenous peoples whose land we stand upon, wherever we are in community. And it is the Lenape, Munsee, Ramapo people whose land this congregation was founded. Let us give thanks to them, and may we hold their home and their land and their people in reverence today during our service. All right. Well, I'd like to take a moment now to welcome our new attendees, and I see we have many new attendees, and that is always exciting. And we love to open our doors even wider. But most especially this morning, I'd like to recognize and welcome Reverend Lauren Ahava Jacobs, who is my One Spirit colleague, a recent graduate, and an extraordinary woman, and we are so grateful to have her with us today. And I'm going to read part of her bio. You could find her entire bio on our website. Reverend Lauren Ahava Jacobs is an interfaith spiritual leader, weaving Judeo-Christian, yogic, Buddhist mindfulness, and earth-based practices into a multi-layered fabric that welcomes the soul home. An ordained interfaith minister and graduate of One Spirit Seminary, Lauren offers uplifting sermons and officiates interfaith weddings, memorials, coming of age ceremonies, and baby blessings. A dedicated warrior for peace, Lauren is currently a senior fellow with the Interfaith Center of New York's Interfaith Civic Leadership Academy. Lauren is currently spearheading the Welcome Home ICLA Asylum Seekers Initiative and the One Spirit in Action, right on One Spirit in Action, the Interfaith Prison Partnership Release Bags Initiative, which we are doing again this year, and you will all be invited. And it'll be in this weekly reader, and you'll find out more about it later in this service, but you'll all be invited to partner in this. We did it last year, and we're going to do it again. A fervent love activist, Lauren co-founded the Interfaith Community Kitchen and Coat Drive at Romamu in the fall of 2020, and she continues to manage its ongoing events to this time. And that is something we've also participated in. Relatedly, she co-chairs the Romamu Social Action Committee, where she has presented panel discussions on food justice, children's rights and welfare, and finding common ground in American democracy, and also facilitated events on criminal justice reform and immigration reform. Where does she find the time to even come and be with us? Lauren is a certified teacher of meditation, mindfulness, and yoga for people of all ages and abilities. She leads meditation and mindfulness workshops and offers her course, Mindfulness in Action, taking the next right steps towards Tikkun Olam, healing the world. Lauren holds master's degrees from Harvard University and Bank Street College of Education. And in closing this beautiful bio, Lauren believes in the power of courageous compassion and spiritual connection to expand our souls and uplift sacred community. Please join me in a warm welcome. I know we're muted, but please wave your hands, clap, do whatever you could do to welcome Lauren. And we are so, so grateful and delighted to have you with us.
Whew. Greetings. I come to you from Mannahatta, along the river Shapmik, sacred ancestral homeland of the Lenape. May they be acknowledged, honored, and always remembered. Tomorrow, Monday, March 20th, at around 5:25 p.m., we'll celebrate the Vernal Equinox, a moment when the sun moves northward across the celestial equator. The word equinox comes from the Latin aequinoctium, meaning the time of equal days and nights, from equi, meaning equal, and nocti, meaning night. And that is the extent of my Latin. The vernal equinox is a time for us to notice the balance between darkness and light, and an invitation for us to look at the balance in our relationship with nature. Throughout time, people following the earth-based wisdom traditions have celebrated these types of seasonal transitions, because every time the seasons change, we change. So this is an opportune time for us to lift up our reverence for the natural elements, and for us to connect spiritually and communally with the natural world. About a decade ago, I traveled to Peru and hiked the Lares Trek to Machu Picchu, the 15th century Incan citadel on an 8,000-foot mountain ridge that includes the Tawantinsuyu Temple of the Sun. As I describe my experience, I invite you to close your eyes and think back to a moment you felt attuned to nature. Or, give me a moment, I believe I have done it. Gaze at the photo of Machu Picchu that I have offered in the chat. Standing on that mountain at Machu Picchu, I felt an uplifting soul connection to both earth and spirit. I felt awe at the splendor of both the Temple of the Sun and the mountain itself. A feeling of being in a holy place, of being in a holy moment, a sense of the closeness of the divine on earth. The grounded, soulful moment felt expansive, and it felt expanding, connecting me to ancient spiritual tradition and connecting me to the immediate presence of the natural elements right in front of me, welcoming my soul to reverberate with the sacredness of nature in all its splendor. Between today and Earth Day, 1 month from now, we each have this opportunity to notice the moments we feel in harmony with the natural world, and to begin to cultivate and enrich our relationship with Mother Earth. So between today and Earth Day, I invite you to listen to bird song, go for a walk or a hike in nature, meditate in a park or on a hilltop, lay on a blanket and look up at the stars, sit quietly among the trees, walk a labyrinth, plant a garden or visit a tree nursery, create a sacred space outside, hold a song circle or meditation gathering outdoors, and consider exploring earth-based practices from indigenous earth-centered spiritualities, Gaia spirituality, Earth-Based Judaism, Wild Church Network, Reclaiming. When we experience spiritual attunement with nature, we nurture our inherent connection with Mother Earth. And when we nurture her, she in turn nurtures us. When we fall out of this attunement with nature and begin to see the natural world as something that we can control, we end up harming not only the earth, but ourselves as well. Let me tell you a story about what can happen when we take things out of balance of the natural world. Gluskabe's stories come from the Abenaki people, who are part of the Wabanaki Confederacy of the Northeast United States and Canada. A long time ago, Woodchuck used to live on a lodge beside the big water with her grandson, Gluskabe. One day, Gluskabe thought to go and hunt some ducks. So he took his bows and arrows and began to chant and started to paddle his canoe. But when he was almost at the hunting spot, a strong wind blew him back to shore. Again, he started to paddle into the river, but again, the wind took him back. Upset, he walked into the lodge and asked Grandmother Woodchuck, "Grandmother, what makes the wind blow?" Grandmother Woodchuck looked at him and replied, "I know when you ask these questions, there will be trouble. But you are so stubborn that you won't stop asking. So I shall tell you. Walk always facing the wind, and you will come to where Wadjo's son lies." Gluskabe thanked Grandmother, went out of the lodge, and started to walk facing the wind. When he walked through the woods, the wind blew hard. When he got to the valleys, it blew harder. And when he finally came to the mountains, the wind was blowing at its hardest, so strong that at that moment it blew off his moccasins, his shirt, and all of his clothing as he was still walking. He was so determined to get there that he kept walking, and even so, the wind blew off his hair and all of his eyebrows. As Gluskabe was climbing the mountain, the wind was blowing so hard that he could barely stand. Finally, at the peak of the mountain, he saw a great bird flapping its wings, the wind eagle, Wadjo's son. Taking a deep breath, Gluskabe shouted, "Grandfather!" When the wind eagle looked around and saw him, he stopped flapping his wings, and Gluskabe went on. "I came to tell you that you're doing a great job making the wind blow." Proud of himself for what he'd just heard, the wind eagle asked, "You mean like this?" and flapped his wings even more than before, lifting Gluskabe off his feet. After a while, the eagle stopped. Gluskabe came closer and said to him, "Like I said, Grandfather, you do a great job making the wind blow, but I think you might do a better job on that peak over there." Wadjo's son looked at the peak Gluskabe was pointing to and said, "Maybe so, but I don't know how I would get there." "I'll take you there," Gluskabe said, grabbing Wadjo's son. Using a carrying strap, he wrapped the eagle onto his side, and when he was heading to the peak, he found a crevice, and as he stepped over it, he let the eagle go, sliding him down into the crevice, getting the eagle stuck. Gluskabe then thought that with no wind to bother him, he would be able to go and hunt again. So he started walking back through the valley and into the woods, and by the time he got to the lodge, he had his hair and eyebrows back. He got into his canoe and onto the river. But there was a problem. The air was hot and still, and he began to sweat. The air was so hot and so still that it became hard to breathe. And soon the water began to grow dirty and smell terrible, and there was so much foam that he could hardly paddle. Gluskabe went inside the lodge and asked Grandmother if she knew what was wrong. "What have you done, Gluskabe?" she asked. He told her about his visit to the wind eagle. "Oh, Gluskabe," she sighed, "will you never learn? Tobbledock set the wind eagle on that mountain to make the wind because we need the wind. The wind keeps the air cool and clean. It brings the clouds which give us rain to wash the earth. The wind moves the waters and keeps them fresh and sweet. Without the wind, life will not be good for us, or for our children, or for our children's children. After this explanation, Gluskabe went again to the mountains, in which the wind eagle was. He came to the foothills and started to climb, and when he made it to the crevice, he disguised his voice and called out, "Uncle!" The wind eagle looked up and said, "Who calls me?" "What are you doing down there?" Gluskabe asked. "Oh, my boy, an ugly, naked man with no hair came and said he would take me to the other peak so I could do a better job. But as he stepped over the crevice, he dropped me." Gluskabe replied, "Oh, uncle, I will help you out." Gluskabe pulled the wind eagle out and put him back onto his perch. Then he said, "Uncle, thank you for making the wind blow. Sometimes it is good that the wind blows, and other times it is good that it is still." The wind eagle looked at Gluskabe and nodded his head. "Ah, grandson, I hear what you say." When we respect the interdependent web of all existence, nature comes into balance and in turn supports us and all the species on the earth. When we place our own short-sighted ends above the natural processes of the earth, things go out of balance, which becomes harmful in the long run for us and for all the beings on the earth. We know this, right? Since the 1960s, environmental movements and activists have been publicizing and acting on so many environmental issues. But sadly, we also know that as a species, we continue to degrade our natural environment by over-consuming and depleting our resources, misusing our land and water, and escalating our carbon output by relentlessly burning oil, coal, and natural gas. We know this. This has led to rising temperatures, sea levels, and frequency of flood and fire around the globe, which is causing the erasure of wildlife and human habitats and the surge of disease, famine, and drought because of the sudden lack of access to safe food and water. We know this. How can we even begin to approach this frustrating, depressing situation? Spiritual ecology is one lens offering a response. Spiritual ecology awakens our spiritual connection to conservation, environmentalism, and earth stewardship, inviting nature conservation work to include spiritual elements and inviting spirituality to include ecological awareness and engagement. Spiritual ecology is reminding us that in order to stem and repair this frightening decline in habitats, human health, and global balance, and in order to renew sustainable and flourishing ecology, we have to reimagine our own attitude toward the earth and face our spiritual and environmental responsibility to the planet by engaging in an approach that acknowledges environmental sacredness. Spiritual leaders across traditions are echoing this call. At the Climate Change Conference in Scotland in 2021, the 14th Dalai Lama said, "We human beings are the only creatures with the power to destroy the earth, and we are also the species with the greatest capacity to protect it. We must do what we can on a personal level, and we must confront issues of climate change on a cooperative global level for everyone's benefit." And at that same conference, Pope Francis added, "The environment is on loan to each generation, which must then hand it on to the next. We ought to encourage those who work for a world that is careful to safeguard the creation entrusted to our stewardship, there's an urgent change of direction required by the challenges emerging from the present socio-environmental crisis. And last year, at the UN's Biodiversity Conference, John Settlemyre, a Muskogee Nation citizen and conservation outreach leader, said, "Stewardship of the earth is a big part of our culture. So engaging in this type of conference aligns with my tribe's spiritual values." Thank goodness. We can feel inspired by these leaders' commitment to protecting our earth, and we can find hope in their call to humanity for us to participate in this essential work. And we can commit to joining them in rediscovering a reverence for the sacredness of our Mother Earth and in recultivating our vital relationship between humans and a diverse living planet. Each action that we can do and encourage others to do with us can take root and grow our impact. We can join and encourage others to join a community-supported agriculture co-op and shop at the local farmers market. In this way, we can nourish not only ourselves and local farmers, we can strengthen the web within and between communities. We can begin to continue and encourage others to purchase sustainable products, become energy efficient, and participate in local ecology restoration projects. One community group called Limu Hui is restoring the health of Hawaii's red algae species known as Limu kohu, and they're passing this ancestral knowledge of limu held by the elders on to the next generation. We can consider and encourage others to consider investing in clean energy, supporting national environmental advocacy groups, and joining local advocacy actions. The grassroots Yegwich-In Steering Committee in Alaska is mounting a dedicated opposition against oil drilling to protect the Arctic coastal plain and has succeeded in ousting 2 oil companies from the state. And members of 10 Native American tribal nations who formed the Intertribal Sinkyone Wilderness Council have partnered with Save the Redwoods to protect, restore, and conserve the traditional coastal forest in California. They have succeeded in getting stewardship of over 500 acres of California's redwoods. This is local. This is small groups. These examples of hope in action can inspire us to allow the inner well of our spiritual, ecological, and communal knowledge to flow forth from our hearts into positive action toward ecological change. And what's important is as we walk this path together, we can bring ourselves over and over to notice when we are attuning with nature and when we are trying to control it. When we are nurturing our relationship with the earth, and when we are putting our own ends above Earth's natural processes. When we are respecting the interdependent web of existence, and when we are forgetting our interconnection with all that lives on this planet. If we can become aware of our own frame of mind, we can then become aware of the consequences of our actions so that we can remember our future on this planet hangs in the balance. We ask, Great Spirit, Gaia, Mother Earth, give us minds to understand, never to take from Earth's bounty more than we give, never to destroy for the furtherance of greed, never to refuse to give our hands for the restoring of Earth's beauty, never to take from her what we cannot mindfully use. Give us hearts to understand that to destroy Earth's music is to create confusion. To wreck her appearance is to blind ourselves to beauty. To callously pollute her fragrance is to make a house of fetter. And that as we care for her, she will care for us. Give us souls to understand that we are each like a drop of water in Earth's ocean, each like a tree rooted in her soil, each of us a necessary part of a dynamic and potent force that can make a powerful, beautiful, and profound impact by offering nourishment, healing, and life to our world. Prompt us, Mother Earth. Guide our actions. Give us the willingness and the ability to follow through in our work to sustain this earth, and allow us to stand on steady ground as we grow in love, awe, reverence, and connection with this planet we call home. May it be so. Thank you.
If you like this video, please like us on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and click on the bell to be notified whenever we post a new video. Thank you.